So I was excited to talk to this man. We've been planning this conversation for a couple of weeks now until I go to his Instagram and I see Eagles fan. So I'm not as excited, but on a serious note, my guy, Matty Bets, Matthew Tanner in the building, finally connecting. What's good, bro?
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Oh my God. Why do I keep running into Eagles fans, bro? One of my guys, Will and Emily, I trained jiu-jitsu with them over at Syndicate, Eagles fan. And I'm like, "Oh." Another guy at VSiN, Eagles fan. Isaiah in the studio, he's not here today, but Eagles fan. I'm like, come on, bro.
Do you hate Eagles fans or Cowboys fans more?
Oh, Eagles.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, actually, you know what? No, I take that back. I hate Cowboys fans more. I hate the Eagles and Philadelphia more than anything. Are you originally from there?
I grew up in York, PA, but my family's all from Philly. My mom and her brothers. So I just grew up as an Eagles fan. But yeah, I'm from York, Pennsylvania. So I had to choose, right? In Pennsylvania, there's all these different teams, and then Maryland, and technically I was closer to the Baltimore Ravens distance wise. But yeah, I always liked the Eagles.
Man, there's not a team, bro. Everyone that listens to the show knows it. There's not a team that has broken my heart more than Philly as a Giants fan. I'm 32. I don't know how old you are, but our generation, I feel like it has to be the Giants have to hate the Eagles.
Bro, the Eagles broke my heart this past year.
Yeah.
I had to make it worse. So I had preseason. I had Jalen Hurts MVP 25 to 1 odds, and I had Eagles Super Bowl 20 to 1. So I got second on both those bets, right? So Patrick Mahomes ruined my Jalen Hurts MVP, and he ruined my Super Bowl future.
Damn.
And I didn't hedge on anything. And Jalen was that front runner to win MVP the whole season. Then he had that injury towards the end of the year, and then Mahomes swooped in. I was like, damn it. Everyone was like, you should hedge now. I was like, nope. The Super Bowl came. I tripled down on it. I didn't hedge. I just bet more on the Eagles. So, and then at halftime, I was feeling good, and it was brutal.
Dude, I was on a little bit with and against you. Coming into the year, I was high on Philly. I'm trying to make money, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all for fun and games, and I do hate the Eagles, but I took the Eagles -7 against the Giants in the playoffs because I just know that matchup sucks for the Giants, and I'm betting numbers, not teams. That shouldn't have been the line, right?
Yeah.
But I was high on Philly. I had made a bet 30 to 1 on them to have the best record in the NFL last year. I had them as the clear-cut favorite in the NFC East. I couldn't believe that you could have gotten a plus number on them to win the division last year. Was high on them to win the NFC and to go to the Super Bowl. But in the Super Bowl, I just felt like I wanted to be on the right side of history. I think it's going to be the last time that Mahomes is an underdog in a playoffs or Super Bowl.
Right.
And I felt like shit at halftime, where you felt amazing at halftime, because also Mahomes is limping off the field. You have the 10-point lead, and I'm like, damn. And that was the biggest bet that I ever made. On all the different apps, I had close to $1,500 on the Chiefs. That's a lot for me, dude. I'm like a $25 to $100 better.
Yeah.
But I did my most successful NFL season, and I placed in some contests out here and online too.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, man, let's go a little crazy in the Super Bowl.
That's yeah. Bro, I could not believe they blew that halftime lead.
I feel like you still think about that, right?
Oh my God, every day.
Dude, tell me a little bit about your origin story with sports betting, man. How'd you get involved?
Yeah, so I grew up gambling. My dad's side is Russian Jewish, my mom's side is Italian. So literally both sides of my family.
Degenin, bro. Oh yeah.
Heavy into gambling. So literally you name it, I've done it growing up. I've casinos on cruise ships, poker in the basement in high school, poker stars, full tilt poker, betting with a neighborhood bookie. Literally I've did it all growing up. So yeah, I've been doing it since I was probably 12 or 13 years old. And then I really didn't get into the content side of things till 2019, 2020. And honestly, that's my biggest regret, is not focusing more on that earlier in life, because my background's in restaurants and franchising. So I've done that my whole career, and now I'm kind of transitioning where I'm more passive in the restaurants, and I'm more focused on this industry now just because I love it so much.
Hell yeah, dude. And I always feel like the real degens, the origin stories are like that.
Yeah.
It gotta be like high school or younger.
Oh,
Like
man.
the people that I see that come out and they're like, yeah, I just started sports betting a couple of years ago. I'm like, man, you're trying to catch the wave. Like you're not really about it. Because
Yeah,
I've done it too, bro. I've had to like sell my Xbox in order to pay a bookie. And whatnot. Oh shit, Mark Cuban. Hey, let's go. Damn, I wish we could have got a shot of that. But hey, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. That was pretty cool. But dude, I feel like everyone's origin story got to be that. Like,
Yeah.
I've sold sneakers, Xbox to like pay my bookie. I've had my bookie not pay me, like that whole world. But again, like mine started even further, dude. I'll never forget. I was 7 years old and I got a parlay card and my uncle was like, yo, pick some winners in the NFL. I wasn't even an NFL fan.
Yeah.
And I circled like, I don't know, 4 or 5 names. Next week comes back, gives me money.
Right.
And he's like, dude, if you do this every week, we'll make some money together.
Yeah.
And I was hooked from there.
100%. Well, dude, honestly, because sports betting, it just makes everything more popular.
Yeah.
Like the NFL would not be nearly as popular as it is if people didn't care about specific outcomes of every game, like whether it's fantasy football or just betting in general. But it just because a lot of people demonize gambling or betting on it, but it's the reason all these sports are so popular.
Yeah, and it's so hypocritical because now every network, every talk show all have the betting lines flashed at the bottom, or people are talking about the betting lines, and you could sniff it right away that they have no idea about sports betting.
Right.
Like if you're in the trenches and you've been doing it for a long time, you could tell when people say, negative 250 for a favorite, you're like, no one in sports betting calls it negative 250.
Yeah,
right?
or 0.5.
Or 0.5. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, no, you got to say it the right way. So it's, again, like you said, bro, now it's becoming so popular. There's so much money in it. We knew about it all these years that it was always a giant elephant in the room that people kind of just like ignored, or you were looked at like a piece of shit if you gambled, but now it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
It's only getting bigger too.
You can't even watch an NBA game without Charles Barkley talking about FanDuel or the spread, or I mean, it's literally everywhere.
Yeah, man. What sports do you like betting on?
Love UFC. It's my favorite. I would say NFL and then NBA. Those are my main 3. But I'll bet on anything, but I don't handicap other sports. I usually tail other people that I trust in. But yeah, I love the UFC. It's been a rough few weeks for me in the UFC, especially this past weekend. But it's really what I love mostly about the UFC is it's literally one guy versus one guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like you bet on an NFL game, the center can literally mess up the snap, right? And something crazy can happen. And again, that can happen in fights too. Anything can happen in a fight, as we saw this past weekend. But no, I love just how fighters match up against each other and just looking at what they're doing, who they're training with, and then just trying to identify value on fights.
Are you someone that will just bet on a fighter because you feel like the line is wrong?
Yeah. So,
even if you don't think that they're going to win, because I do that all the time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you, for example, Alejandro Pantoja this weekend, plus 180.
Yeah.
Like it's a great value spot. Honestly, yep. I mean, if you think a fight is a 50-50 outcome, like it could literally go either way, which that's what we saw was a very close fight this weekend. Even if the bet loses, you bet the right number. You bet the right fighter at plus 180. So,
I mean, you do this so you get it, but it's so difficult for some people to understand that.
Right.
And I have these conversations with my buddies too that like to bet and they don't get it. They'll ask me about a fight and I'll say, oh, I think this guy's going to win, but I'm going to bet the other guy. They're like, why are you betting the other guy if you think this guy's going to win?
Yeah.
It's like, because the line is wrong.
Right.
And sometimes it could be wrong for the favorite. Like I felt like Volkanovski over the weekend, minus 300 that he was a mistake.
Right.
Because I felt like he should have been minus 1,200.
Yeah.
And I was on VSiN and I said the same thing.
Yeah.
So it could work both sides. It's not just, the underdog is plus 200 where he should be plus 115. Like, no, it could work where the favorite is minus 300 and he should be minus 800.
Right.
That happens that way too. But how many times have you given out a play that's like minus 300 and you're like, yo, this is the best value on the board. And people are looking at you like,
yeah,
that's not value, bro.
Right.
Because it's not a plus 900 or.
Yeah. People don't actually understand what value means in betting, so but no, I totally agree with you. You nailed it. And I think with fights, it's really important to focus on that because anything can happen in these fights and you just have to bet the right number.
I came across your content on TikTok where I feel like that's where you have your biggest platform, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anyone, bro, in the UFC betting space that would go deep on like long shot props, which is what I like too.
I love it.
You know, like if you have a guy that's a jiu-jitsu wizard going up against a striker, yeah, I'm gonna take this dude to win by submission.
Yeah.
I know he has the cardio advantage. Let's
Right.
get sub round 2, sub round 3 if it's in the championship rounds. And I don't remember what fight it was. You'll probably remember it, but because you had flashed your ticket too, but you had bet a main event, and it was like 30-1, 40-1.
Alex Pereira.
Pereira against Izzy. That's what it was, dude. That's when you first came on my radar. I remember seeing that.
Bro, so that was probably my favorite bet to date in the UFC that I've hit. But no, I sprinkled round 3, 4, and 5 as 3 separate bets. And round 4, Pereira kind of just got himself together, like got the gas tank back, kind of, and then you saw him come out in round 5, like he was just ready, you know. But to this day, that hit was electric. Like hitting 30-1s in the UFC is literally so much fun. But but again, if you bet like exact outcomes like that, you can go through extreme cold streaks, like kind of what I'm seeing right now. Like those bets don't hit very often, and it's funny because your betting record in the UFC means nothing.
Oh yeah,
Like it's net profit, it's ROI that really is what matters. And I'll bet 5. I can bet 5 things that are all 10-1 to 30-1, and I might go 0 for 5.
Right.
I might go 1 for 5, and if I go 1 for 5, I've made a profit.
yeah. I mean, bro, you're preaching to the choir because a couple weeks ago when Armin Sarukian fought, I had him round 2 by knockout, round 3 by knockout. And I think that was the only bet I hit on the card.
Yeah.
And then I tweeted out some shit like, oh, another profitable week.
Right.
And one of my friends hit me up, was like, bro, you went like 1 for 12. I'm like, yeah, it was 22-1 to win in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Like that's all you need.
100%.
And that's what's really dope about the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
It's become, I think, my favorite sport to bet on.
For me, it's not close. It's definitely my favorite.
Do you like betting parlays?
Yeah. So like, for example,
I
this
feel like it's a
weekend-
polarizing topic. I've been talking to a lot of sports bettors, bro, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you can't parlay, bro. You can't parlay." It's like, dude, it's
Yeah.
also fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I feel like sports betting is fun, and I enjoy it.
100%. I honestly don't bet them that often, but when I'm in Vegas, there's just a different vibe about holding tickets that have 3,
7
4,
names on
5.
them.
Yeah.
I
It's
feel you.
just different. Like here, I don't even want to bet on the apps. Like I literally want to hold tickets. Like I want to put cash across the counter, grab tickets. It's just different. But no, I don't bet parlays that often, honestly. In the UFC, it's like I don't need to. Like I'm doing straight bets that pay 30-1.
Yeah, it's
20-1.
basically a parlay.
Yeah, it essentially is, and you only need one thing to happen. And honestly, parlays in the UFC is as hard as it gets, And you see like the people bet the favorite parlays, like 5 guys, all favorites. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And then it's funny when like half the favorites don't even win.
Bro, you're talking to someone that it happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I did a 6-leg parlay. I had some of my buddies from back home kind of tail it also.
Yeah.
And Yasmin gets slept in 19 seconds. I think I'm giving her too much credit. Like she was minus 360, and then Whittaker gets absolutely blitzed. And those are 2 big favorites. And then you have your underdog Pantoja, which was my only dog on the card. He ends up winning. So it's wild, man. It's so wild in the UFC. But I love like the props. I do a bet every week, a $25 bet, where the goal is, I literally call it the why not parlay of the week. It's $25 to pay over 50K. And I'm like, if this hits one time,
Just once.
I'm putting a down payment on a house. And I want people to come by the crib and be like, oh, how'd you get this house? UFC 297, bro. I want that to be the reason why I get the crib, bro. That's really a goal of mine. Dude, I had a crazy hit. I'm going to post this ticket.
Yeah.
So when I was back home in New York, I had a free $500 free bet on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fuck it. Let's go crazy. Why sprinkle $50, $20 bets like that? Let's go for BR betting and Barstool Sports Instagram. Yeah. So I take 8 outcomes, and it's anywhere from money lines to inside the distance, fight doesn't go the distance, submission. And everything hits. It was the London card last July. Paddy Pimblett was on the card. Taporia was on the card. The main event was Tom Aspinall against Volkov.
Oh, I had Aspinall round 1 in there on that fight.
I had Aspinall to win by knockout. No, I had him inside the distance.
You got
But
the,
anyway,
you got the submission.
so
yeah.
and it was $500 to win $132,000. I had Gunnar Nelson to win by submission, and if you remember that card, he had like 12 and a half minutes of control time, didn't get the submission. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I hope these next 2 bets don't win.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Volkov loses to Aspinall, bro, I'm sitting on my couch, I have my legs crossed, and I just sit up like this, and I go. My mom's looking at me. She's like, didn't you want him to win? I was like, yeah, but not like this.
Yeah.
12 and a half minutes of control time, bro.
Oh my
I'll
God.
never not think about that.
Bro. What was that one?
132K, bro.
Yeah. No, the submission bad beats are the worst. Like when you literally have someone to get a submission, they have like a rear naked choke in, and you're like, how the hell did they survive that? Oh my God, it's just the worst beats.
Do you train at all? Do you do any training?
I do boxing just recreationally.
Boxing.
Yeah.
So I do jiu-jitsu, kind of like hobbyist.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'll bet someone by submission and they can't get the submission. I'm like, bro, this is like one stripe white belt shit. Like, come on, I could have gotten that one. I start getting so pissed off.
Yeah.
But dude, 12 minutes, man. Like Gunnar Nelson, I'll always remember that shit forever.
Mm.
And then of course his next 2 fights he ends up winning by submission. But it's like, why couldn't it be that one?
Yeah.
What do you think
So
about the
it
card
is.
over the weekend?
It was extremely entertaining. So I went to the Miami card earlier this year, and they were neck and neck. I mean, they were both pretty good live to watch. But it was very entertaining. I was I got crushed. I lost over 9 units on the card, so I got absolutely crushed this past weekend. But from an entertainment standpoint, it was a great card to watch. You know, Robert Whittaker fight blew my mind. I actually have a story for you.
Yeah, tell me, dude. I saw
Oh.
you took a picture with
Yeah.
Plessis.
Yeah. So basically, I make this video on TikTok, right? And it's like going viral this past weekend because, you know, you make a video and then as the fight plays out, now you get all the trolls come in, right?
Of course.
So long story short, I loaded on Whittaker. I had him in like 2 or 3 parlays at Circa. I straight bet him. Like I had thousands of dollars on him, right? And it gets to that second round, and I'm like, this is not looking good because, like you said earlier before we jumped on, like it's not like he just got knocked out. Like he was losing that fight.
Yeah, which was what no one said was going to happen in the sense of,
Right.
yeah, he might drop round 1, but not like that.
Yeah. No, I could not believe what I saw, what I witnessed, even on the takedown. This is the ugliest takedown, and I couldn't believe, you know, Whittaker gave that takedown up. But anyways, I bet thousands and thousands of dollars on him. I make this video. I post it days before, and the video is like, I cannot believe people are backing Dricus du Plessis. He's not better in a single aspect of MMA than Robert Whittaker.
Which I agree with you too.
Right. But
Yeah.
that was like my hook, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why I was getting people to watch it. It was going viral. It's at like 300,000-400,000 views. And now all these people are commenting, right? So then the very next day, or maybe the day after the fights, after I lose thousands of dollars, I'm down bad on the card. My weekend's going like shit. I go over to Cosmo with my 2 boys, literally walk into the bar. I look to my right, and Dricus du Plessis is right next to me, bro. So he's right next to me. He's got the prime chain on, his button-down shirt opened up, just living the life. He's there with his boys. And I was like, I don't even know what to do right now. I started walking away, and I was like, nah, I got to go say what's up to him, right? So I walk up to him. I'm like, bro, congrats on your win. Like, it was extremely impressive. I didn't think you were going to win, truthfully. I was very impressed by it. And I was like, and I respect for how you handled the Adesanya situation because he handled that with class.
Yeah.
And I thought it was distasteful what Izzy did in that octagon.
It was a rough go, yeah.
Yeah.
Izzy's my favorite fighter, and that was
Bro,
very cringe.
I'm a big fan of Adesanya, but it's one of those things, like, and McGregor does stuff too, where, like, you kind of take things too far trying to sell a fight.
Yeah.
But anyways, literally, he's right next to me. So he was super nice dude, took a picture. And then it was just funny because I posted that, and now you got all the Twitter trolls, all the TikTok, Instagram trolls literally DMing me, messaging, commenting me, telling me I'm a piece of shit, telling me that I bet against him, and
now you're
why
taking a
would I
picture.
take a picture?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
a fanboy. I'm like, brother, like, this is, I don't bet on fight. Like I bet on fighters because I'm trying to win money and I'm trying to enjoy the fight. Like, but after the fight's over, it's back to reality. He's a human being,
Yeah.
and he was a super nice guy, and I met him.
And bro,
And that was
also like maybe not his next fight, but I've bet on Duplessis in the past.
Yeah, like dude Plessis fought Derek Brunson. Derek
Yeah.
Brunson's a good friend of mine, right? Like, and yeah, I mean it's you just have to have respect for each other. Like they're all human beings. They're all fighters. Like even getting in the octagon alone, you have to respect someone. So
That's hilarious.
it was just so ironic because like we didn't even plan to go to the Cosmo that day. We're just walking around, jumping to different casinos. I just walk in and he's right next to me, and I did like a double take. I didn't even think it was him, and it was just so funny.
Damn. What do you say about you betting against him?
So I didn't say, yo, I bet against you. We only talked for like 30 seconds.
Gotcha.
But I pretty much just told him I was just impressed by it, and I told him how much I respected how he handled the Izzy situation. So
Damn. I met Colby Covington after UFC 272 when I came here last March.
yeah,
Nicest guy in the world, by the way.
I met him at Hard Rock before.
Such a cool
Yeah.
ass dude. That's why like the gimmick is so cringe because
Right.
like you're not that. You know?
Right.
But I had told him something similar where I was like, man, I won a lot of money with you over the weekend. He's like, yeah, only the smart people did.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
it was cool to have that back and forth.
Yeah, every fighter's different with like the betting side of things, right?
Well, so the thing that I've never done this, whether it's a fighter or an athlete, like I've never tweeted at them
Yeah.
or like DM them like, yo, you're a piece of shit for fumbling at the 2-yard line.
Right.
Or like you're shitty that you didn't hit another 3.
Yeah.
Like you see some of these interactions, and I've had the honor of talking to a lot of athletes, and I'll ask them like, "Yeah, how do you guys feel about fantasy football? How do you
Right.
feel about betting now?
Yeah.
Like, yo, y'all are sick.
Right.
Like some of you guys are sick, and that's why like what I try to do with my content is be playful. Like have fun with it. That's why I think sports betting is so fun. Where
Yeah.
you have some people that it gotta be like the ROI or your plus units. Yeah, you want to win. Everyone wants to win. In a
Yeah.
perfect world, we'd never give out bad plays. But I also like how like you handle that interaction and how you're handling that. Cause like, bro, that's the game too. We were texting a couple weeks ago and you're like, dude, I'm getting crushed. I'm ice cold. I'm like, bro, that's the game, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
I'll come on the show on a Monday after I went 5-0 in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yo, my shit don't stink. And then literally the next week, 1-4. And I'm like,
Yep.
you gotta own it, bro. It can't always be when it's high and high. When it's low and low, you gotta take it in.
Yeah, no, you 100% you have to, and like people will love you when you win their money, but when you lose the money, they'll hate you 10 times more.
Yeah.
Like I was showing my 2 boys here in Vegas, like after the fights, like I was getting hundreds of comments every 5 to 10 minutes on social, like TikTok, Twitter, like people were literally trashing me, like just nonstop. But and then I told them I was like, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Like you can't make content and give out predictions and have people tail, and then only like it when you're winning people money. And
100%.
you have to go through the highs and lows of it, and you just have to keep on pushing.
That's the game, bro.
Yeah.
That's why when I have big hits, I'll post them. When I have big losses, I'll post them too. Because I also want to paint the picture because sports betting is becoming more and more popular. People see these handicappers or they see these people giving out picks and they only show like the good. And
Right.
I've always told people from the beginning, like, dude, to start the NFL season this past year,
Yeah.
I do some contests where it's like 5 picks against the spread.
Right.
I was 21-4 through 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's as hot as it gets.
And I was telling people on the show, I would come on and be like, yo,
You got to set the expectation.
there's going to be some regression.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
1-4 is coming. It's
And
it's
you know what's
impossible.
funny is people will see you're on a hot streak and then they'll start tailing you.
And then that's when you go cold.
And
Always
not
happens.
only that, they'll bet way more than they should be because you're on a
You're-
hot
you're
streak.
hot
When
streak.
the reality is, more times than not, the best time to start tailing someone is when they're coming off a cold streak.
Yeah.
Because people jump on the train when it's too late and then they're betting more than they should on that guy's picks. So I always say, if you're going to tail someone, tail them long term or don't tail them at all. Because like jumping on and off at different times, it's just not. You're just gambling at that point, like literally.
Dude, the amount of times that I'll post a ticket that's a winner. Say, it's a subathon parlay. I do, I pick 3 guys to win by submission every week. It's kind of become like my thing.
Yeah.
Or, I'll give 5 picks in the NFL in the contest. Because I always tell people what my picks are going to be in the contest. Like I do
Right.
some Patreon content. It's like, look, these are the 5 picks that I'm going to put in the contest. There's millions of dollars on the line. So if I go 0-5, you know who's going to feel the worst?
Right.
Me. So I'll give out the 5 plays, and then I'll go 5-0. I had 2 5-0 weeks last year. All my boys hit me up. Yo, next week I'm tailing.
Yeah.
I'm tailing it next week. I have fans hit me up like, oh shit, next week. What happens next week? 2-3.
Yeah.
Or I'll go, my absolute favorite, I'll go 4-1. I'll go 3-1-1, and I'll get, yo, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Because they parlayed it.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, yo, I do 2 things. Any prop, any subathon, any NFL game, I'll parlay them.
Mm-hmm.
In the event that I do go 5-0, why not?
Yeah.
But I also straight bet them. And I also have games that are my 2-unit plays. Like my favorite, I always tell people, yo, my absolute favorite play of the week, it's always 3 units.
Yeah.
Like that's just standard if you listen to the show. Like, you know, and there are times where, you know, this being in the sports betting space, maybe your 2 favorite plays are, you know, you have $300 on one of them, you have $300 on the other. And then your other 6 plays are $100 bets, and you go 2-6.
Yeah.
And then you're even though.
Right.
So it's spread records could be misleading.
Oh,
like you said, the UFC records could be misleading.
It's all misleading. And people, you know, people just like to make it look like not everyone's transparent, right? But if you sell picks, you need to be transparent. Like I don't personally sell my picks, like my personal picks. But even if I'm putting out picks to a significant amount of people, I still feel like I have to recap it and be transparent with how I'm doing, you know, because there are people that are putting their money on the line based on what I'm giving out to the world, you know.
Nah, for sure, man. And I get that too when I'm creating content and doing the podcast. I want to go back to the event. Man, how good is Volkanovski, bro?
Oh, bro. He's unbelievable. Like what you were saying earlier, there was value on him at, I think it was down to like minus 350 or a little bit less. But he's just, the dude is so good. Now, I would like to see him against Ilia Topuria.
That's the one, bro.
Yeah. I mean, because he's so well-rounded.
Just like him.
Yeah. I actually think that would play out as like a straight boxing match. Like, I don't think Volk would want to even take him down. I might be dead wrong, but I just think it's going to play out on the feet.
No, I think you bring up a compelling case because you've seen it in the past when you have like 2 all-world wrestlers.
Yeah.
It becomes a stand-up affair.
Right.
Covington and Usman. How many takedowns did they shoot?
Yeah, they just gave up
2?
on it.
Yeah. It was just like, yo, we're just going to swing away. You see it with guys that are 2 submission wizards. It turns into a kickboxing match.
Right.
And I could see that definitely being the case too because I think both of them, I think for Volkanovski right now, this video aged well last week because I was saying how I think he's the most complete fighter in the game.
Yeah, he is.
I know for a fact he's not going to do no dumb shit.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a video where he catches Yair with this combination in the first round.
Right.
Then in the second round, he doesn't follow up on that combination, lets Yair hit him. And then in the third round, he throws that same combo. And then when Yair goes to throw the overhand left, he sneaks in like a jab.
Yeah.
And that's what stuns Yair initially, pushes him up against the cage. Crazy takedown and then ground and pound. It looked like they were drilling that in the gym.
Bro.
Like that's some shit that you see in the gym where guys are just drilling like, all right, I'm going to take you down, ground and pound. And Volk is just the smartest fighter right now, and I think he's the most complete.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by that matchup. It has to be.
You see what the odds are?
I haven't, no.
So Ilya opened at like plus 200 or so.
Whoa.
So Volk, you're going to get Volk under minus 300. Which is interesting, right? It's hard to not bet that. But Ilya's really good. But bro, you know what I had in the Volkanovski fight?
What do you have?
I had round 4 and round 5 knockout. So this is literally 2 out of the past 3 weeks. I was 40 seconds away on long shots. So I had Sean Strickland in round 3. He wins that fight with like under a minute left in round 2.
Yeah.
And then Volk under a minute left in round 2 or round 3.
Round 3.
When I had the round 4. So I was just, again, but this is how it is, right? Like I'm 40 seconds away from a 7 or 8 unit swing, right?
Right.
I lose a quarter unit versus winning 6, 7, 8 units. Like the swings in the UFC are sick.
So did you not have anything on him to just win by knockout then?
Yeah. So I took him. The way I saw the fight playing out was I liked him late in the fight or to win a decision. So I literally had like I had a 1 unit play on him to win by decision. I got it like plus 140 somewhere in that number, and then I just sprinkled quarter units on those late rounds because I I knew like if Yair's like face started to open up, maybe like a doctor stoppage or
Right.
something. But I didn't see him like knocking Yair out cold on the feet because Yair actually has a good chin. But again, Volk was just too dominant, and he just did it too early, and I was blown away by it.
Yeah, dude,
Damn.
because I started doing this a couple of months ago where I hit a cold stretch like what you were saying you're going through right now,
Mm-hmm.
where I got too cute with the props.
Right, right.
Like I'd have someone to win by submission round 3.
Yeah,
They end up winning by submission round 2.
right.
And I didn't bet him to win by submission.
Yeah, and the payout's still good if you just bet
Yeah.
it. And
Still like a 2-1, 3-1 prop.
right.
So if you really like like last week, I liked Strickland to win by knockout.
Yeah,
And I also bet him inside the distance. And I got super lucky. I threw it on round 2 and 4 for him to get a stoppage.
yeah,
Happened to be in round 2.
Right.
But the thought process was, I think he's going to get a finish, and I think it's going to be a knockout.
mm-hmm.
So I kind of went heavier on that. And then I did like a quarter unit, $25 bets on round 2 and 4. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just see.
Yeah,
And then, but that I got lucky on. But I didn't get lucky in the sense of the fight played out the way I thought it would.
right.
I got
right.
lucky where it ended.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can literally bet something, and you have a perfect read on it, and the fight plays out exactly how you do it. Like Deshaun Strickland, I made a video. People were commenting on my videos saying like, "Oh, you predicted it perfectly." I literally lost a bet
Yeah.
because like I didn't see I was like gassing that quickly. I mean, that was embarrassing cardio. But if his cardio is even 10% better, he makes it to the third round there, and then I had round 3, 4, and 5, so I have a 15-minute window to get a knockout, and they were all 15, 20, 25, whatever the numbers were. They were all long shot bets. So I'm like, dude, just survive for 40 more seconds. Because Strickland's not a guy that's like going to put you out. Like he's going to TKO you and bring you
Yeah.
down.
It's he beats you on volume.
Right.
It's just an accumulation of like Max Holloway was the same way.
Exactly.
They're so good with their cardio and their stamina that they just put a pace on you where you eat 200 significant strikes, and then eventually that's what puts you out. They don't
Right.
really have the knockout power. I actually prefer fighters like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a guy that's going to be able to keep a pace on you for 25 minutes
Yeah.
and you just eat 200 strikes
Right.
as opposed to that one knockout power, because those guys tire out quicker, heavy-footed.
Yep.
So I kind of lean to guys like that a lot more.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I still the bad beats the past 2-3 weeks for me have just been brutal.
What's been the worst bad beat that you've had as far as like, a couple more seconds in a round, or maybe you had them by knockout and they won by submission? Like, can you think of some?
There's so many. It's crazy. Trying to think which ones come to mind here. There was a fight last year. I can't even remember, but I had. Do you remember the fight where the guy was literally submitting someone, and then he got like a last second TKO on the ground? I'm trying to remember which fight that was. It was a really bad beat. Because like the ref didn't stop it the right way, and they ended up calling it. It was one or the other. It was like he was knocking him out and then subbed him, or subbed him and knocked him out. And it was what I can't remember which fight that was, but that was a really bad beat. It was a 6 swing, and then I'm trying to think.
I had one where I bet Randy Brown against Cowboy Oliveira,
Yeah,
and I bet Brown to win by knockout. He ends
Yeah.
up winning by submission, and he drops him with a straight right.
yeah,
Like Oliveira does like the, oh shit, he just blew out his knees dance,
right,
where like the guy just collapses and his knees kind of just like fold in,
yeah.
and he ends up taking his back and submitting him. I'm like, oh, let's go. No.
It's the worst.
It's the worst, bro.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
No.
What do you think of? I know they said like it should be Topuria, going back towards Volkanovski. It should be Topuria.
Mm-hmm.
But are you interested in seeing him in Islam again?
Yeah. So I bet Islam inside the or by submission in that first fight, and that's after that fight. That was like, that's it. I'm never down Volkanovski. Like that was so impressive.
Yeah.
You know? Like for Islam to have your back.
So that was another fight where Volk was like plus 380, bro.
Yeah.
I bet on Volkanovski,
I mean,
and I'll make that bet again.
It was the right bet based on the number. And
Yeah.
I do think he lost 3-2. But it was,
Yeah, I don't think some people said he got robbed. Like, nah, to me
Nah.
that's not robbery. I thought that was the right
Yeah,
call.
I think it's one of those fights where like you can do more total damage in a fight, but you can still lose the fight because it's judged on a per round basis, right?
Right.
And I think that's a prime example of that, where like Volk did more damage, I think, to Islam.
especially in round 5.
Right. Yeah, dude.
Dude, they had to hold up Islam.
Right. It was wild.
When he's being interviewed, his whole team is holding him up.
Yeah.
And Volk is just like, yeah, I think I proved a lot of people wrong. And he's just like fresh as a daisy.
No, that was a wild fight. He did prove people wrong, and I do think he deserves that rematch. I do want to see Topuria fight him first.
It has to be that.
Yeah.
At 145, it has to be that because Topuria has been steamrolling everybody. And what he did to Emmett a couple weeks ago,
Right.
that was another one where I was like, he's minus 380. I think that's wrong. You should be a bigger favorite. And I think it has to be them two for 145.
Yeah.
And like, also, why are we just bypassing Charles Oliveira?
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't I think it should be Charles in Islam? He gets to get back. He was such a dominant champion, right? He had so many title defenses, and he loses to Islam rather comfortably. Like Islam put it on him.
Right.
But he comes back. He beats Dariush the way he did.
Yeah.
I think you do Topuria Volk at 145. If Volk happens to beat him, then yeah, at that point it's like, bro, the only real threat at 145 is Topuria.
What do you think the odds would be if Volk fought Oliveira? It's a hard line to make, right?
Yeah, I think Volk would be the favorite because Oliveira is he's a much wilder fighter.
Yeah.
Where Islam has the game plan, take you to the ground, smash.
Yeah.
Like, the path to victory for him.
Yeah.
Where with Charles, he might beat you standing. He wants to take you to the ground, he could. So I think Volk would be a favorite over Charles. But
how big of a favorite, though?
I think slight, maybe like a minus 140, minus 160.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say the number's like minus 150 or so.
Yeah.
But I do think Oliveira's submission would be live.
It's always live, bro.
Yeah.
You always got to bet Charles inside the distance because I think I think his last 12 fights, win or lose, have been stoppages.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably the most entertaining fighter in the UFC at this point. We're up there.
Yeah.
He has to be,
I would say he's number one.
Yeah.
Because you just know for a fact there's going to be a stoppage.
Right.
Like, for as exciting as Gaethje is and Poirier is, they get some decisions. Bangers.
Right.
That's also the next pay-per-view. That's going to be a good fight for the BMF title.
Who you like in that fight?
I like Poirier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Poirier is just more durable. I think Gaethje has been in way more wars than Poirier. He's been hit more, and he's been hit more viciously than Poirier. Poirier, a lot of his losses have been like submission losses.
Right. That's literally his kryptonite.
Yeah. Where Gaethje has been just got stopped by Poirier on the feet.
Right.
An all-time like combo, just hit him with like 47 straight punches. So I like Poirier in that one. Do you know the line on that fight? Because I haven't really.
So it actually opened with Poirier. It was like a slight dog. It changed real quick. I think he's like minus 130 or so, which I think is the right number.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I will say that I think Gaethje has matured some. Like we saw him put on the wrestling shoes finally in which fight was that? Raphael.
Yeah.
So I had Gaethje in that fight. And I do think he's matured some. Even Dustin Poirier was like, he now, what did he say? He said he now, when he gets in a car accident, he's wearing a seatbelt. Like, I don't know how he said it, something like that.
I like that.
He's like, it's like, he's still reckless and crazy, but now it's like more calculated.
Yeah.
So I do think that's going to be a hell of a fight. I'll give you a long shot. I like in that fight is Dustin to get a late submission.
Whoa. Last time he fought was a sub 2 against Chandler.
Yeah.
Dude, that was one of the worst outcomes ever, bro. I had so many parlays live going into those last three fights, and I ended up the next two ended up going my way. Like, I had Yair inside the distance against Emmett, and then I had main event goes the distance. And the only thing I needed not to happen was someone to win by submission. I had Dustin and Chandler both by knockout. Both of them fight goes the distance. Because fight doesn't go was like minus 600. So I got like plus 325 on it to go the decision.
Yeah.
So I kind of hedged it out on my parlay. I'm like, yo, I'm going to bet fight goes the distance at plus 325. I'm like, yo, there's no way that someone's going to win by submission. And then he jumps to the submission, takes his back, and I'm like, oh,
and honestly, Dustin should have had a KO or TKO early in that fight, Chandler surprised me in that second round. Like his gas tank came back and he got an early takedown. I think it was in that second round. But I don't know. Chandler's always had the skill set, the size, the power, the speed, but like just fight IQ sometimes is just crazy.
Well,
Like,
he
even in
likes
that Poirier fight, he honestly could have won that fight if he didn't try to like pick him up and slam him. Like if he just takes that fight to the ground, like I don't know. But
well
yeah,
the other thing that Chandler does is he's very wild with his strikes, where he
Right.
throws a lot of
his
looping stuff.
shot. Poirier's clean.
Poirier comes straight down the middle, which
Yeah.
is why I was so fascinated by him potentially fighting Conor. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I think
Yeah.
it's a great fight for Conor to come back to because of the looping style of Chandler.
Yeah. You know, it'd be an interesting fight is Poirier and Volk.
Ooh.
You know,
Dude, there's a lot of good fights for
Yeah.
Volk at 155,
so
man.
many. He's got to go up.
He's got to go up. Yeah, I think if
Yeah.
he beats Topuria, he goes up.
Who would you bet in Conor Chandler? Because I have a very strong opinion on this fight.
I think I would go Chandler.
Yeah, I would hammer him.
Yeah.
I have no faith in Conor coming back and being what he once was. Like,
My take on this fight has been the same since Conor broke his leg against Dustin.
yeah,
It's been over 2 years now. I don't know who he's going to fight next, but I know for a fact we have one more holy shit Conor is fighting moment.
mm-hmm.
Not saying that it's going to be a win, but the excitement, obviously we're going to be excited for it, but you know, ESPN is going to send Stephen A. Smith there.
yeah.
And all these networks are going to be covering the fight where
Right.
you're going to be like, holy shit, Conor's coming back.
Yeah.
We have one more. He'd have to win that
Right,
in order
right.
to get more.
Yep.
But that's been my case with Conor this whole time. How I think we get one more fight where we're like, damn, son, Conor's back.
Yeah.
And then he would have to win in order for us to be excited. So
Yeah.
I'm with you though on Chandler, man. I think Chandler gets it done.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna be close to a pick 'em. I mean, I took Dustin as a dog in fight 2 and 3 against Conor.
Yeah.
But
I did the same too. I was in a sports betting documentary out in New Jersey because New Jersey they had started legalizing sports betting and then it got to New York. So I was featured in because dude, I used to have to drive into Jersey to put my bets in on
Yeah.
FanDuel and all the apps. And I remember I had said, I was like, this is an example where I think this guy's gonna lose, but I'm gonna bet him. He was like plus 265, Dustin, or plus 225, I think he was.
yeah.
And he ends up winning. And again, it goes back to the same point that I make all the time. Like there are fighters that I think are going to lose, but I have to bet them because I think the line is wrong, or
Yeah.
I'll bet them by a certain prop.
Right.
So it's fun, man. I love it. The UFC has become
Yeah.
it's so dope because like my content is known and like I kind of broke into the content space being like the NFL guy
Yeah.
and like still love the NFL, still think I know the NFL very, very well. It's dope. My favorite reason for loving the NFL is it's once a week, right? That's
Mhm.
why I think it's also so popular. But when the NFL offseason ends, all my friends are like, damn, I don't know what to bet on now. For me,
Right.
it's like, oh, I got UFC, bro.
Yep.
UFC is the same way. I have UFC every week. You know, I look at the lines on Monday, and then maybe I'll make some bets, and then I have enough time to go back and watch fights. I could look at the props, and then I have a whole week to get my fix in.
Yeah.
I'm not dabbling in baseball. I think it's too volatile. I don't like NBA regular season betting. Love playoff betting
Yeah.
because that's also volatile. Guys might sit out. Guys might play for 20 minutes and then get pulled. So UFC and NFL, that's why I think they're my favorites. They're once a week, and I kind of get the same like fixation with both.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun studying the fights throughout the week, locking in some for like early value, and then like I like to like see the weigh-ins on Friday before I finalize all my props and my full card and everything. But I'm with you, man. You can't beat the UFC. It sucks when there's off weeks. It sucks.
Oh, dude, it's the worst. I feel like I'm an addict. I'm scratching my neck. I'm like, yo, when's that shit coming back?
Yeah.
But they're in a stretch right now where I think the next 6 weeks is a card too.
Yeah.
They're going all the way up until September. So it's going
Right.
to be fun, man. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. Hopefully we could do this again,
Yeah.
but we do need to wrap up. I want to give the people a chance to find you on social media if they haven't been following you yet. Thank you good to finally connect, bro.
For sure.
We've been trying to do this for a while, but tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah. So it's Matty Bets, MattyBetts, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. Just Matty Bets.
Let's go, man. UFC long shots is your guy.
Yes, sir.
For real. sometimes I don't tell anybody, but there are certain people whose opinion I really respect, and I try to see if they're on the same side.
Yeah.
And like I'll feel like we both were on Whittaker round 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out. That's the game. But I was
Right.
like, all right, Matt likes it. I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm on that too.
It made a lot of sense to
Yeah.
us. You know, but
Yeah,
that's just how it goes
that's the
sometimes.
game, bro.
Yeah.
That's the game. You win some, and you lose a lot. That's usually how it happens.
Absolutely.
At Nick Dais Tenors, you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum are at veteransminimum.com, and we will catch you guys next time on the show.